All right, guys, we are on another client pod today. We have with us Misha Perov. Him and his partners run a sales agency. Do They do some pretty big numbers with their other clients that they sell for. And Misha runs a sales coaching offer personally. Misha, if you want to intro yourself to everyone who's watching.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks for having me on, guys. Yeah, so we've been building sales teams for online coaches for a long time now. I started in 2019, making a lot of money for a lot of other people's offers. So about a year and a half ago, like we saw a lot of BS in the whole remote sales space, and like we're like, hey, we have an office, like we have all these systems, we have all the expertise. Let's actually help people do the same thing. So about a year and a half, 2 years ago, we started our own like training offer where we coach people how to actually get into remote sales and how to make money with it. And a lot of credit to you guys for helping me, blow up or not blow up, but increase my organic presence, social media presence. It's been awesome working with you guys.
For sure,
100%,
man.
man.
You guys,
Well,
just to give everyone background, you guys primarily before we started working together, you guys ran everything through paid advertising. And the if you just kind of want to run people through the motivation or like the story of how this came about, of how you wanted to start basically building an organic presence in the first place.
Yeah, 100%. So we were, I mean, even with before we started our offer, like we would build the sales teams for different coaches and then take a percent of revenue. Then most of that would go to the closers. Some of that would go to the agency. So not myself personally, but my partner Dylan got really good with the paid ads, running budgets of, 6 figures a month for big time coaches, So he's an absolute expert on that side of things. So yeah, I mean, with our own offer, it's just been, at least until I started doing this, it's been 100% paid ads. Um, and we were doing good on that side, but we were spending a lot of money on the marketing, and it wasn't as profitable as we wanted. So yeah, I mean, we were doing that for probably about a year, all on paid. And I think if you want to see different results, you got to take different actions. We had a buddy in Toronto who was running an online offer, and he was doing everything through TikTok,
Hmm.
and it was crazy. He would post TikToks and get like a couple 100,000 hits and fill up calendars. Like it was insane. Definitely a different like approach. It was a lot just more like surface level what he was doing, but he was crushing it. So it's like we see how much money we're spending on our ads, and this guy's just putting up a 60-second video to fill up calendars. So that kind of gave me the initial boost. Like, okay, like I
Yeah.
got to start doing something online. And like also for me, like for the longest time, like I've just been like 100% sales, right? Closing, managing, leading, training, but just like 100% sales. And I think like the natural next step after you do sales for so long, it's like you got to skill stack, right? You got to add on something else to it. And marketing was kind of that thing, right? Getting online. And I was surprised at like how similar they were and like how fast I can kind of pick it up just because the psychology is so similar. But yeah, I mean, it all came from just we were all in on paid. I wanted to step up, and kind of expand my role on my team. And yeah, it's been fun. It's been a really cool journey.
Yeah, one thing we've noticed about that is guys who have been in a sales role before, or I mean, if they're even doing sales at the present when coming into our program in general, marketing is so easy to pick up if you've done significant volume with sales. It's just sales at scale and through a screen. That's all it is. So once you have that as a baseline, like I remember when we first started and everything, your content was several levels above what a beginner, like a base beginner, would typically be at right from the get go. Just because you knew, like, oh, I feel like half of sales is just knowing what not to say, like how to not screw yourself up. So it's really easy because that's most of organic content is just keeping it around a
content.
certain topic and not saying something stupid.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say content is literally if you actually think about it, especially when you're making conversion oriented content, it is literally just sales, just pre recorded. That's all
Yeah.
it is. Because like every video handles some form of objection or
Hmm.
closes some limiting belief, whatever it is, if you're doing it right. But yeah, so you guys were heavy and paid, obviously like still running paid. What was like the main thing that you noticed when you started dealing with organic traffic versus like all the paid stuff you dealt with in the past?
What did I notice, like in terms of
Like
like lead
a
quality, or?
primary difference, just like one, the angle of like mentally, how do you need to think about it differently than paid? And two, benefits versus, negatives of organic versus paid.
Sure. Well, first thing that comes to mind was the lead quality was significantly better, um, like significantly. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that you guys like have dialed in just with the overall like ecosystem, like really aligns with just like our sales philosophies and just like everything that we've done. And like we can talk about. I want to talk about that a little bit more later, but I think the quality, because it's the whole don't be the hunter, you want to become the hunted, right? And especially
I like
with
that.
high ticket, it's like it blows my mind that there's like the majority of the people in the coaching space, especially at a low level, are just like cold DMing nonstop every day. Because
Doesn't make any
in my
sense.
mind, it's like immediately the moment you do that, like you're putting yourself at a lower status, and you hurt your authority on your sales call, and like
Which is literally
uh
necessary for coaching. People want to. The point of coaching is that someone looks up to you, not
yeah.
yeah,
You're literally like buying their frame because you want the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah, we call that, like, in our agency, that's called getting down on your knees for your prospect, right? Like
That's
you
good.
don't want to be doing that. So yeah, and then I think like obviously with a paid funnel, it's like you're running them through them, like there's CTAs, and it's like, hey, go to the next step, go to the next step. In this case, it's like the only people who end up booking with me through organic, like, are people who've already spent hours watching my stuff. They understand everything. I've prevented all of their objections, and they're showing up on a call ready to rock. And it's been, warmer prospects. It's definitely been better clients generally. Um,
I have an
so
interesting
yeah,
question for you. Do you notice that people that typically come through organic traffic tend to get results faster than people that come through paid?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and they just get the game. They understand a lot of the things, and like I try to attract the right kinds of people with the content I put out. Um, like going a little bit deeper into sales strategy and what we're doing on the phones and how it actually works, and also like big picture, because there's a lot of like make money online, and like super surface level make money online offers. They just attract just you know low level people, and they just don't understand what they're getting into. So like even like talking about like big picture, big vision, like, hey, like, I know you're just getting started, but like here's what can happen like 3 years from now if you actually focus in on it, and like this is what can come of it career wise. Like the right kind of people are attracted to that, right, rather than the person who wants to make X amount next month with no experience.
Yeah. How do I make $200 a day only working 1 hour a week? It's like, sorry, it doesn't
Yeah,
work like that.
yeah. It's
Automated
like super
passively.
clear on the first like one of the first things that I say on the VSL is, hey, if you're looking for a side hustle, like, fuck off, like, leave the video right
Yeah,
now.
that's
Like,
good.
this isn't it. And it attracts the right kind of people for sure. So better
Yeah.
clients, better
Were
leads.
you were you surprised how well your VSL did? Because
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That was the first YouTube video that I ever posted.
How many
And
views is it at now?
it's like 13K.
Oh,
Oh, so
oh
it's
yeah.
probably it's probably brought in a decent amount of leads, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it basically just got ranked in the SEO. So whenever someone looks up high ticket sales, it's like that's one of the first things they see, and
That's
it
so
works like the
dope.
opposite way. Like I used to think it was, and I think it is, and I think this is something that I need to work on. But it should be like short to long form to sales call, right? for me, it's kind of the opposite. Like it's long form. They see the VSL, they watch it, and then they like go through my other stuff. They follow me on Instagram, watch the shorts, and it's like the shorts and all of that like nurtures the lead, and then they go and then they book a call. You know,
Yeah, it's
um,
like you're leading with like the mechanical, like the how-to stuff. It's like super deep value, very informative, and that's like the initial hook that gets them
mhm,
in, and then they go inspect to see if you're like a human being actually first, not
yeah,
like some of the robots that are on the platforms. So they're just
mhm,
like, "Oh my god, he's just actually a fucking normal human being. He's a person. I should probably
yeah.
talk to this guy."
And you know, it's also like super refreshing because like doing the whole like short thing, like that was never really my style. Like even on my sales calls, right? Like I try to just be like always just be super logical, just break it down. Hey, here's how it works. This is exactly why it works. This is exactly what you need to do for it to work for you. Are you ready to do it? You know, and then like that's kind of a longer form thing. Like it's hard to keep up with like the dopamine and like all like that's something that I'm learning when it comes to short form. But it's super refreshing that I can just jump on a YouTube video, make a really long form video where I just talk about what I know, and like that works, you know, because I didn't think it would.
Um, One thing Liam and I've noticed, and this is really interesting, is that everyone almost has there's a platform that works best based on the kind of person you are. And I want to get your opinion on. Obviously, I mean, I think we've kind of already been touching on it, but it seems like YouTube is your best one. It's just interesting to see that like there's some
Yeah,
people that are just like Gabe is a good example of like that guy just he was created and put on this earth for Instagram. You know what I mean? And then
right.
there's some people where
Yeah.
it's like YouTube or TikTok or Twitter or whatever it may be.
Mhm. Yeah, YouTube for sure. I mean, I've just always like spent a lot of time on YouTube. I
Yeah.
just like learning that kind of stuff, just like forever. And it's like fun too. It's really fun just making videos, making content because like I mean, obviously, you know, I still got so much room to grow in all aspects, you know, in sales, whatever. But like, just something that I see myself as an expert in, you know, I would just like keep to myself for so long, you know, and just the fact that I can jump on YouTube, like brain dump everything I know, and like it actually helps people, and I'm getting good engagements and good comments. Like it really does feel good, you know. So yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I think why your YouTube works so well too is because like unlike many of the other people, especially in the sales space, is like you guys actually have such a legit operation, like a really successful company that you guys have built over the years, and all you have to really do is just show that instead of forcefully tell or try and convince or like weasel in like a lot of other people do. And
Mhm.
yeah, like you guys got the office and stuff, so even the day in the life video, like you said, that one brought in quite a bit of calls, right? Just from
Yep.
showing an average day.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just doing what I mean exactly just and I think it was the first thing that I said to you guys like on you know the first sales call when I was joining your guys program. It was like, yeah, like I know I'm good, like I have big goals, I just need to figure out how to like convert it online, you know, and how to package everything, because that's probably one of the biggest things I learned too from you guys was like, okay, I put up a YouTube video where I just like talk about what I know about a specific thing, but it's like how do you optimize it so that you know people actually give a fuck, you know, just with the whole structure, and that's something that definitely a new thing that I learned that I think made a big impact on it too.
Yeah. It's it's also interesting to see that every single person, everyone is they almost come in with a strong point and a weak point. With some people, like in your case, it was like basically almost zero organic following from starting, but demon at sales, just absolute weapon tier sales, military grade sales skill. So it's like every person's problem is different. And if you can at least just build a system where it's like, okay, we're going to get everyone up to like 80% understanding. And then it's just on them to like fix their weak point and put in the repetitions that fixes their specific weak point over the course of like 2 to 6 months, depending on how different people's strong points and weak points. It's just interesting to see how everyone else's situation turns out as time goes on,
Yeah.
based on there's so many fucking variables with it. People have different platforms that they're good at. People have different, you know, skills coming in the door. It's cool to see.
Mhm. it's really cool that like something that like I'm really learning like this year is because especially for just like getting into sales for me for the first time, it's like all I'm thinking about is like, okay, let me make six figures doing sales. Do that for a couple of years, good life. And then like you always know, like you always hear like people talk about like, oh, sales is the most valuable skill set. And it's like I feel like you almost hear that too much, where it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I just want to make money. But like now, like I'm really seeing it, just like how quickly it translated to, the marketing, even like the copywriting, like when Nick came out to the event and he was going deep into that, it's like that resonated with me so hard because that's like one of the things he talks about with copywriting is understand your prospects' problems better than they do. Like that's what we've been telling our sales team like since day one. And just getting as deep as possible, getting the emotions to be fresh. So it's like it's really exciting like how when you grind out the sales and when you can develop that muscle, like after that the marketing comes easy, copywriting comes easy,
Yep.
the fulfillment comes easy. Because you know what people want, how people think, and it's just cool how like you can stack so many things on top of it.
Yeah, like becoming really good at sales, and not just like, oh, good, like the theory behind it and you've watched 10 videos on the perfect,
Yeah,
fucking sales structure, blah blah blah. But once you've done, had a couple hundred different sales conversations, and especially in different offers too, all you're doing with every other format is you're just transferring verbal salesmanship into either video salesmanship or written salesmanship. That's all it is. People like almost try to make it seem like copy and content and ads and funnels are all different skill sets. It's like, no. It's just a different length and format of salesmanship at a baseline. You just have to match it to like where the prospect's journey is. So sales skill meets where the prospect is at in their journey. That's all it is. That's why it's
yeah,
so fucking necessary. But I agree with you. That thing you said where you're just like, everyone and their fucking dog always goes like, sales is so important. It's like,
yeah.
I know. I've heard it
You-
14 times this morning.
yeah, yeah. But no, like you got to like see it. You got to actually
Yeah.
develop the sales skills. Right. You started in sales, right, Vince?
Yeah. When I got out of the military, first thing, car sales. First thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you
Classic
feel
greasy
like
used car salesman, right?
do you feel like that like helped you like learn like the
Absolutely.
online?
Absolutely. I honestly think if someone is like, as long as they don't look like a burn victim and they're looking for a
Yeah.
place to start, just like become a car salesman. Like actually, it's one of the best ways. Or yeah, or look, get an accelerated vehicle from
In-person
someone like
sales.
yourself. Yeah, in-person sales sets you
Yeah.
up for life because then you then not
You
only do
just
you
learn
understand how to
people.
speak, but you also understand presence too.
Mhm.
Yeah, when you understand presence in person to a very high degree, like you can apply the same principles into content. Like they're very transferable. And yeah, it's funny. It's almost become a meme now, but at the end of the day, it is like sales. It really is the best rudimentary skill. You can't beat it. Some people will argue copy, which
Which it's just
I
written
could
salesmanship.
see, but yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, cool. If you get really good at copy, now go speak in front of like 100 people.
Exactly.
Like,
It's like you're
good
fucked.
good
Yeah.
luck. Because even if you have the prettiest words, if you don't deliver them with conviction
Mhm.
and are able to articulate them, they're not even gonna hit like that. The actual copy doesn't even matter because people aren't gonna listen because your frame, presence, how you speak, all that. That's why, like Vince was saying earlier, it's sales and content just goes so well hand in hand because they're just such interlapping skills, and when you have both, it's just like weapon tier.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like the confidence that you get from sales, I think is also important. Like when you spend like years like just helping people closing deals, getting you to pay you money over the phone, selling for some other business, and you can just use their credibility.
Yeah.
Like you don't need any credibility. You can just use theirs, get a cut of it, do that for a year or two. It's like now you literally have everything you need to go and do your own thing if you want to. But I think the problem
Yeah.
is because a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs. Everybody wants to be entrepreneurs because it's like sexy, and they try to just skip to it. It's like in sales, like especially if you're on 100% commission, it's like every day, like you gotta you got to manage that. You got to figure out the mindset to it. Like if you're hot, if you're cold, like you learn all of those things, and that preps you to be an entrepreneur and to do your own thing one day. You know?
I agree. I think most people, if you're starting from ground zero and you just never made money outside of working at a static job or a static salary job, honestly, starting completely ground zero entrepreneur is like a horrible way to start. I honestly think everyone should rip like at least 1 or 2 years of sales. And it doesn't even matter what kind. It really doesn't. As long
Yeah.
as you are
Door to door,
selling something
remote.
and it's commission based,
Yeah.
just like have 500 sales conversations. And then now you're qualified. That's your college degree for entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it was literally my college degree
Yeah.
was sales because I dropped out after my first year, and yeah, like you just learn so much, man. Especially in this space, like I feel like just like so much wisdom, so much you just learn everyone else's mistakes. You have thousands of sales calls with people just with problems in their lives, and like they're looking at you to solve it for them, and it's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
sales the best.
Another interesting thing is I don't know if you guys have seen this as well, but people who are typically really good, and I'm talking like top, 98th percentile copywriters and sales guys, what you almost start to see is that they're not like philosophers, but when they get and talk to people, you're just the guy that can like not challenge them necessarily, but you can almost call out their BS. And I forgot who I heard say this, but if you can cause like a life epiphany on a sales call, you're like 99th percentile. Like if you could just do that continuously where you call people out in their bullshit and give them like a fuck moment on a
Yeah,
sales call or even in copy, you're really fucking good. Yeah, I just want to like if you guys have any takes on that, or
Yeah.
you guys have
Well,
seen
it's
that
the
as
same thing
well.
in content too. Epiphanies.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's so powerful.
yeah. I always say like ask your prospect or like have a certain depth of conversation with your prospect that they've never had before to get them to spend money that they've never spent before. You
That's
know?
a really good way of putting it.
Mm, that's good. Yeah.
Um Go ahead, Liam.
Oh, I was gonna say, maybe to just spit a little bit of game because obviously, like a lot of people that watch us are maybe just figuring their, initial start out, or they do have a business trying to get it off the ground. Um, Obviously, sales is gonna be 50% of that battle. From your experience, all the guys you've worked with, all the different offers you've been on, what would you say is like the main like mindset shift that you made that you see most people fail to make that really sets them apart from um, consistently closing deals, like going from amateur or rookie to really like mastering the skill of sales?
Yeah, easy. Detaching yourself from the sale. But because you're on the phone to close the deal, you want, obviously money from it. But the moment that someone feels that, oh, this person wants my money, everything that they're saying instantly becomes like it's not credible anymore,
Yeah.
right? Like if you want something from somebody, then yeah, immediately it's like you get defensive. It's kind of like if you guys have like friends or like people that like complete strangers, if they come up to you and they're like, hey man, what's going on, and they're like going for this like super enthusiastic thing, like immediately like I get defensive. I'm like,
Yeah, you're
what is this person,
standoffish. You're like,
yeah, like what does this person want
What
from
does
me?
this guy want? Yeah.
And I think that happens on sales calls. So like it's also like a really just refreshing thing. Like when you get to a place where like you genuinely don't care whether the deal closes or not, and you're able to jump on a call, figure out the problem, present a solution, and you can just do that like without any emotions. I think that's the biggest thing. Like I was even listening to someone's sales call in the group. Like I left them a couple notes, and like that was the biggest thing. Like even when salespeople jump on the call and they're like, hey man, so like, where are you based out of? Oh, nice.
oh
Is it
yeah,
cold out there?
they already lost
It's
the deal.
like you don't give a fuck. Like
Yeah,
you literally couldn't care less. Like you're having a weather conversation at the start of your sales calls. Seriously,
yeah, you're done.
Dude,
it's because
I remember I used to like way back, I used to work at a furniture place, and it was like the high end like outdoor furniture. And people would come in and they drop like 5, 10, 15K. Like it was pretty high ticket, but the owner was just like so fucking old school. And what he taught us to do is so bad. He'd be like, yeah, man, so okay, so like what you guys want to do, like right when they come in, you want to just start with like a nice opener to just like open them up and get the conversation going. One of the best ones that I like to use is, so pretty nice weather out there, eh? And I'm like, oh,
Oh, oh,
and you do
painful.
it every time. And I'd be like, oh,
Oh, it's
I
so
didn't know how bad it
painful.
was at the time because I was young, but like looking back on it,
So painful.
it hurts.
Yeah,
Just to think that,
it's just like,
that's probably cost sales too. Like permanently
oh
like
yeah,
Oh
lowered how
yeah.
much revenue they've made lifetime. Oh God, painful.
Oh,
yeah, like it's just like it's like immediately. It's like I'm asking you a question that like I don't give a fuck about. Like we both know I'm not being authentic here because I'm trying to build some fake relationship with you so that you pay me money at the end of the call. It's like whenever I jump on a sales call and I'm looking into it, like that's exactly what I think. And I think that
Yeah.
applies to everything else. Like we talk about, like talking about cats and dogs. Like the person's jumping on a call because they're looking to solve a problem. Like once you start, like, oh, so like you have a dog, I have a dog too. No way. Or like, oh, like you used to
yeah.
work that job, I used to work that job too. No way. It's like it's cats and dogs. Like it's completely irrelevant. You got to jump on a call, be an expert. It's kind of like when you walk into a doctor's office, right? Like the doctor's going to be stoic. It's like they're the expert. They're coming in like no bullshit. It's like, okay, what's up? They ask you a couple questions, they figure out the problem, and then they prescribe you a solution, and you trust it because they're an expert. Like if the doctor was all like overly enthusiastic and they were trying to build some fake relationship with you, you'd be like, yo, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah. I think a good way to think about it almost is like if you view yourself as more of you're a problem solver, not a salesman. And I know it's like people talk about it all the time, but almost like you're like the networker that people are coming to you and you're just a networker where it's just like you're not here for any reason. You're the guy that people come talk to when they need a problem solved in a given area. It's just like, oh yeah, I know exactly who to send you to. Like if it makes sense and this all maps out, yeah, you should go here. They can fix your stuff, and it
Yeah.
just happens to be connected to a commission.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's.
I think it stems. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's tough when like you're first getting into sales or business or whatever, and like you need the money. That's where it gets
Yeah,
tough.
you can't emotionally disconnect from it enough yet.
Yeah. Um,
I was gonna say too, like it probably stems a lot from like the way that people are doing their prospecting. Like if they're doing outbound and they finally get someone on the phone, that's when they feel like they have to like win them over and they have to be nice because they're scared they're gonna fucking lose them because it's like the one call they got from outbound and they're cold, right? It's super cold lead, so it's like, oh hey, like what's up, man? How's it going?
yeah.
Right? But that yeah, that's why content's good and content marketing is good because you're literally changing the frame of the sale before the sale even occurs.
Yeah, you're literally setting yourself up from success because uh, I don't remember who said this. I remember seeing this over the last couple of weeks where it's like 90% of sales isn't actually how much of a butterfly knife you are at objection handling. 90% of it is just positioning. And the last 10% is based on, your verbal IQ. And if you just like know what not to say, but if you just position yourself right from the get go and you're just the problem solver for a given thing and you network people to the right solution, it's layups. You're just not
Yeah.
emotionally connected to it. You don't care whether it closes or not. It ends up working. It's literally like the
Yeah.
less you care about it, the better it works.
Exactly. I always think about like back when I was a piece of shit back in the day. I would funnel hack everybody and just be a fake prospect. Like, and then I realized it's definitely creating bad karma for me, and I'm just gonna stop doing that. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I would just jump on sales calls and just like see what other people were about. Like especially in the beginning of this, online sales for influencers. Like I wanted to see what else was out there, and I would always just think like I would recognize these little things like the weather or like I would sense their
Yeah.
desperation really well. Like I had it like that. I was just tuned up. I could feel every little thing. And then when I would feel it, like on the prospect side of things, it's like I would go to my sales calls and be like, okay, like let me just be the opposite of that. Like let me not be that person at all. And yeah, I feel like that helped me a lot with sales for sure. Just being different.
I think something that a lot of people, I think the biggest issue that a lot of people have on sales calls is that they go a little too much out of their way to reduce friction in the sales process. When I think
You
if
need to
you
create
add,
it.
yeah, if you add some, it
Yeah.
actually helps you out a lot. One, because I remember when I was at an event recently where Taylor Welch was there, and one thing he said is the only way a business will ever be destroyed is if you're selling to the wrong people. And how I took that was just like if you're closing prospects that just shouldn't be closed. So that's one way, and then two is that if you're actually just like artificially inducing friction, you're even if you need the sale and you're just like, no, I have to fucking say this, like there's no other option, I'm forcing myself to say this to artificially increase friction. You forcefully can increase your own frame on the calls where it's just like, hey man, so I want to ask you something really quick. Do you feel like you actually need this, or would this be something that like if you just gave it enough time it would probably like you'd probably figure it out yourself? If you say that, your trust goes through the fucking roof. And then when they do make the decision to buy from you, because now there's more trust, there it's not going to be an impulse decision. It's going to be a decision that they felt that they actually put critical thinking into, so they're going to be more secure in the decision. Does that, am I being
Yeah,
too
yeah,
esoteric,
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
yeah?
No, 100%. Like even like I've had, just in my career, tens of thousands of sales calls. Like when you jump on a call with someone and they're just like giving you all the right answers and they're just blah 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 blah, and like you move through the call and like everything seems perfect. Like a lot of the times, like it'll be too good to be true. And then at the end of the call, they'll be like, "Yeah, everything sounds amazing. I'll just hit you back," and then they give you some bullshit, and then like you can't handle it. So it's like I had that happen so many times when like people just jump on the call and they're just like, yeah, 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 and they're casual and they're like, they just give you all the right answers that you want to hear. Like I'll take that approach of like, hang on, like listen, Vince, like for me to bring you on, like I need to know that I can actually get you results. Like you've been thinking about this for 3 years. Like why haven't you made progress yet? Like what's different this time around?
That's good.
And then
That's good.
something like that where because it's true. Like I'll create that friction on purpose with that type of prospect just because at the end of the call it gives you more leverage, but also like it sets them up for results better, right?
Yeah, almost kind of what I was referring to earlier, where it's like if you almost take a little bit of a life coach frame on a call where it's like, hey man, if this is something you've been thinking about for a year, like what was the nail in the coffin? Like, why is it now? And you just like actually
Yeah,
getting them to critically think about their problems and situations more. And they're just like, oh, this guy actually has my fucking best interest at heart.
yeah,
Okay.
like hit them with like, dude, like why even do this in the first place, man? Like just
Yeah.
don't do it. Just keep doing what you're doing. You obviously seem comfortable. Like you haven't really taken any massive action yet. Like why don't you just keep going with it? Why are we even on this call? And then all of a sudden they have to start justifying to you like why they
Yeah.
need to do it so badly.
Yeah. That's good.
That's good.
Um, okay, I have a question for you. What would you say is, since starting with organic to now, I think it's been 5 months, 6 months since we started working together. What
Yeah.
would you say is one thing you wish you could have told yourself in the beginning that would have made it easier, or just made your mindset so you could have like chilled out more, just like anything along those lines for anyone that's, in the position you were 6 months ago?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that kind of slowed me down, well, especially before I started working with you guys, and like a little bit after I started working with you guys, but I think most of this content game, it's like limiting beliefs are what would hold you back from like really taking advantage of it.
Can you
Like
elaborate
thinking
how
that
you
like
mean?
yeah, so like for example, right? Like thinking that like okay, like friends, family, people I'm growing up with or whatever, they're going to see what I'm doing and they're going to think of me a certain way, and then that goes into your content. You start thinking about that, or you don't even post because you're thinking about that. Um, I think like everybody knows, it's like why wouldn't you do social media? Like this is where you make money. Like attention is the new currency. Like everybody knows that, but the only thing that stops them is their limiting belief. So like you need to recognize that you have that limiting belief first of all, and like when you feel like when you tell yourself I'm going to post every single day, and like that makes you feel like uncomfortable, makes you feel some certain way, like you need to recognize that okay, that's a limiting belief, and I'm not going to hit the goals I want to hit unless I overcome that.
Mm,
And I, and I,
100%.
and I think I think joining your guys' program, I mean, one, by just like giving me the framework, like giving me the blueprint of like exactly what to do. It's like now information isn't an excuse. Like, I don't know how. Now that's not an excuse. But I think the more powerful thing, honestly, is putting down a big piece of money, because like all the information's out there. Like you can go get it. That's fine. There's a reason why people haven't used the information. And it's because they don't have skin in the game. Like when it hurts, like when you take a risk, now you have something to lose, right? And then that puts you in a position where, at least for me, it just put me into overdrive. Just took it seriously. Said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to make sure that input isn't the reason why I fail. Like I'll let the uncontrollables, if there's something I can't control, I'll let that be the reason I fail, but it won't be in me and my lack of activity or my lack of input.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think a big thing too with especially with like content and content marketing, because when people get started, they never posted anything online. Like making that first post, especially on like your Instagram, you got some hometown friends on there. Like that's not easy. It's not
it's
easy,
not. It's
but
not.
like it's actually not. But when you've done it, like Vince and I have we've had content online for like years now, and I think the biggest thing that like people need to understand, and I want to hear your thoughts on this too, is like when you can alter your environment to the point where the norm literally just becomes doing content and doing social media, to where you're almost like shamed by your friends if you're
Hell
not
yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
That's when
Yeah.
it like really shifts the game for you. Like personally, the way like we've set everything up, and obviously having the mastermind with all you guys, all of our clients in HTC, all of our friends, like everyone posts content. Like if you don't post content, it's like, bro, like what the fuck are you doing,
You're the fucking
right?
weirdo.
So you have, yeah, literally, like you're the weirdo. It's like, oh bro, you don't have a personal brand, like,
Yeah.
right? So you have to like offset that balance to the point where you just remove yourself from the environments where it's not the norm. And that's why I think like being in masterminds and like joining programs and connecting on social media is so important, because every connection you make, every new program you join, like you're just upping that barrier, or sorry, that bar of the people that are doing like what you want to do, that's outside of a norm typically. And then when you make that your new normal, it's just like it becomes so second to not, like second nature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always find it interesting that whenever you talk to people in different like masterminds or programs or whatever, everyone has their own I guess their own trigger for why they get results. And like Misha, if your main thing was just like, okay, putting the money down is like the one of the primary triggers, it's interesting to hear that, because me personally, kind of like Liam was saying right there, is the whenever I buy into anything, it's more for changing the culture that I'm exposing myself to, and not like culture like, oh, I'm in fucking France now, but like culture as in the what are the standards and what's you're changing what's viewed as weird. And it's like Liam was saying, like if you're in circles where it's weird for you to be posting content, you're always going to have trouble with it. Versus if you're in an environment where it's like, you're the weirdo if you're not spending 1,000 a day on ads. You're the weirdo if you're not getting out YouTube videos and doing podcasts and like, getting more followers and closing deals. So when you come into, let's say, high ticket mastermind, where it's just like everyone's just talking about content and everything's just normal, like, hey, can you guys check out this post, what do you think? And you're normalizing different activities compared to what activities you did when growing up. And when you normalize it, now when other people message you and they just like talk about like just dumb problems that are just
Yeah.
irrelevant, and you can like yesterday when I was visiting some family yesterday, and some of the conversations were like, I haven't thought about this shit in fucking years. Just like really
Yeah.
tiny irrelevant stuff, versus when we come into calls like this and you feel like you're at home again. And that's a good place to be, I feel like, when your culture is changing.
For sure. And I think like, because if it's foreign to you, which it definitely was to me, it's like all we would do is paid ads, just closing deals out of the office, like, the best sales team in the world that nobody knew about. kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when like I think you know want to change your culture when like okay like I want to go do content or I want to get in the gym or like whenever like you want to make a step up or level up and do something that maybe is not familiar to you. I think making the investment it's like okay you start you have no way out now like you have to make it work and I think that's a really powerful thing. Um, Spending money and spending large amounts of it like that's how you put the pressure on you that okay you have no other choice but to make this work because otherwise like you're gonna have cop outs like you'll post every
Yeah.
day for a week and then you'll make up some excuse as to not everybody around you isn't posting and you're like okay cool like I'm in the norm and you're chilling.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's okay. Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
is okay because everyone else isn't. Like it's fine.
yeah, yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. Like probably same for you guys in your program, right? Right? Like with role playing. Like everyone role plays. So the guy who's not doing any role plays is like, bro, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. You're the
Exactly,
weirdo.
exactly.
Yeah. Um, I guess maybe last question, like before we kind of come to the end here. Um, for anyone like thinking of working with highticket.com, joining our program, um, what would you say to them, like overall experience, words of wisdom? What would it be?
What's the biggest objection you guys get on your sales calls?
Um,
Uh,
I would say it's a pretty equal distribution, but I would say just if people know if it's right for honestly it's mostly limiting beliefs in themselves typically.
that's what I was
That's
gonna say.
I'm gonna be
It's a
honest,
lot of times lack
it
of self belief because they don't want to put themselves on online. That's usually what it
yeah,
is.
that's primarily what it is, to be honest. I know Jordan Belfort has that thing. It's like, oh, lack of trust in either you, your company, or like how the thing works, or one of those three. And I think a fourth one that's come up in internet money specifically over the last like 5 years or so is like they don't trust themselves to actually do it. And I would say that's our biggest thing is people just don't trust themselves enough to be like, hey, this is going to be lame for 6 months, but it's going to be like leaps and bounds forwards. They're
Right.
just not realizing that.
And I think it starts, it's like first, it's like knee jerk reaction. And like subconsciously, you'll be like, okay, no, it's just too expensive, or like, that's a lot of money, I want to like, consider this and think about it. Like that's what you tell yourself. And then after that, it's like, as you're thinking about it or contemplating it, the next thing is like, okay, like, am I going to get a return on my investment? Right? Like, how do I know that this is going to work? And then like your brain might go to like, oh, well, who are these guys? And like, how do I know that their stuff works? Right? Like you start blaming external stuff. But then if you
Yeah,
go really deep, it's exactly the internal belief. And I think in the beginning, like when I joined your guys' stuff, it's like I had never done any kind of content before. Like zero, literally at level zero with all of this. But like I knew in my head, like I had this belief, like I'm gonna make X amount, like I'm gonna hit X goal, X target, and like I know I can do it, and then from there it kind of made it a no brainer, right? So I think you got to realize that, and the realization that I came to, it's like the person that you are today isn't going to be the same person that you are when you're finally in your dream, outcome. Like if someone's goal is like they want a Lambo, for example, like the guy driving the Lambo, like he's not afraid to pick up his camera and talk to a screen,
yep. That's such a
so
good
it's
way
like
of putting it. That's such a good way of putting it.
right, so it's like you got to realize that like the person you are now isn't going to be the same guy sitting in the Lambo or buying his mom a house or whatever your thing is, right? And you got to realize that okay, if the person's not the same, it's the beliefs that are different. Look at your beliefs and be like, this is what's holding me back, which I think it is. I think that's the only thing holding people back is their belief system, and then just like choose to ignore it and move forward anyways.
For sure,
That's
man.
really good. I like that. That's a really
I
good way
like
to
that a
think about
lot.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the I know I know guys like Jocko, like they kind of like memed the extreme ownership thing, and now it's like people don't take it as seriously because it went so mainstream, but it is true. The more you take responsibility for things that you do and the things that happen around you, and like the more outwardly you take responsibility for stuff, is literally like the more power you have. is like the more responsibility you take of things that occur in general. And the bigger that gets, the more power you have over yourself and literally the matter that exists around you. So I think it's such a good point to make that, yeah, everything's internal. Space.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's just stop being a pussy, right? At the end
Yep.
of the day, that's kind of everything. But yeah, this is really good. This is a good
Yeah, this is
combo.
really good. Thank you for coming on, dude. Appreciate the time as always. For anyone watching, you guys want to work with us, first link in the description. You can apply there. But yeah, that's that.
Really,
We'll catch you guys in
really
the next one.
quickly, just before we wrap it up, I just want to like say for real, because I've told you guys a couple times before, but like when I first joined, like I saw it as like, okay, I'm joining a program, a course, a mastermind, whatever. But like you guys like really do go out of your way to, help me. Like I see help all the other people. And that was shown with everything you guys. Well, one, the way that the blueprint is, the protocol is built out. Like that was first thing I noticed. Like, okay, like here's a freaking system that I can just replicate. I could do it. Like I was so excited by just that. I was honestly surprised at how in depth that was. And then on the coaching calls, all the extra time that you guys, spent with me, especially just like early on when I didn't do anything. The mastermind we did, and like all the people that you guys brought out, like you guys didn't have to do that, but you did, because everything you guys do is like value up front, get people results, give people the best experience possible, and our business will be amazing. And I think like that's also taught me a lot with like running our offer. So super grateful for it. If
For sure, bro.
anybody's looking
Thank
to
you,
do
bro.
social media,
Thank you,
if
dude.
anyone wants to do social media and build a coaching offer, I think they got to work with you guys. Like I can't see working with anybody else would do it for them the way that you guys do it.
Appreciate it, bro.
Appreciate that, bro. Thank you. But yeah, that's pretty much that until the next one. We'll catch you guys. Peace.
Absolutely.